Hello, before this video begins, I just want to say a couple complaints that I have about a series of unfortunate events. And, the first off, there's this thing that I hated within the episodes where I was watching them, and that is the fact that whenever the Baudelaires reveal the identity of the Count Olaf guy, he just sits there and lets them do that. Second of all, the fact that everybody just does stupid things that makes no sense and how nobody realizes who Count Olaf really is. The reason why I'm not talking about any of this stuff in the video is because it's a kid show and I understand that some stuff is just going to be stupid because kids are stupid. And I'm a kid, so I'm stupid as well. Okay, now after whatever that was, it's time to get into the video. So the show starts off, and there's these three kids, and they're at a beach. One of them is named Sunshine. Another one of them is named Clothes and named Violin. And then this guy named Mr. Poet, he comes and he's like, "Hey kittens, your parents are dead now. They died in a fire." They very sad, but then they have to go to a guardian, and then they go to their new guardian's house, and his name is Count Olive. And then he's like, hey kittens, come inside. Now go away, you dumb Mr. Poet. So then Mr. Poet's like, he seems nice. So then the kittens go into Count Olive's house, and then he makes them do a bunch of chores and sleep on one bed. He's a terrible person. He's so evil. And then he slaps Clothes, and then when they wake up, Sunshine is gone, and they're like, "Oh no, what did Count Olive do with Sunshine?" So then Clothes and Violin go to look for Sunshine, but then Count Olive's like, "Hey, I locked her up in a tower where you can't get her. Now you have to marry me in a dumb play, which will actually be real, or I will kill the baby." Violin obviously agrees. So then the wedding happens, and then it's like, "Oh no, what will we ever do?" But then the baby plays cards with Mr. Hookman, who is supposed to be keeping watch of the baby, and will let it go if he's ordered to. But the baby wants to play cards, and then he makes a bet where he'll let the baby go if the baby wins, and then the baby is freaking apparently really good at playing cards, so then the baby gets released, and then the kittens, then they're like, "Oh, okay, the baby released, let's go." And then they leave, and then Count Olive's like, "Dang it, I'm gonna run away now." And then Mr. Poet's like, "Okay, let's go to Mintgumby." And then they're like, "Okay." And then their uncle Mintgumby, they go to his house. He's super nice. He studies reptiles and stuff. But then Count Olive appears, but he's in disguise. So then apparently nobody can tell that he's Count Olive except for the kittens. So then Count Olive in disguise kills Minby. And then Mr. Poet's like, "Oh no, he dead." But then the kittens are like, "Hey, he's Count Olive." And Mr. Poet's like, "No, he ain't." But then they come up with a bunch of proof that he's Count Olive. And then Mr. Poet's like, "Oh, you is bad guy." But then he runs away. But then Mr. Poet's like, "Okay, never mind. You gonna go with your Aunt Jolaphone." So then they go to Aunt Jolaphone's house, but Mr. Poet leaves, and then it turns out Aunt Jolaphone is afraid of everything. So they're like, oh no, she's afraid of everything. And then Count Olive appears in another disguise. Long story short, Aunt Jolaphone, her house falls off a cliff, and then she gets thrown to the leeches. And then after that, the kittens run away to a lumber mill, and then they think they're gonna be safe there, but boy are they wrong, because Dr. Oakwood, who is eye doctor person next to the lumber mill, is Count Olive's ex-girlfriend, and then Count Olive's like, hey, Dr. Oakwood, let's get the kittens and steal their monies. So then Dr. Oakwood hypnotizes Close and makes him be evil, but then Violin saves the day and Close is unhypnotized, and then Dr. Oakwood dies in a fire. Then the season 1 ends off the 3 kittens going to school, and then them singing a song. And that's the end of the video. I'll try to do a video on season 2 of the show as soon as I possibly can. Goodbye!